Welcome to the RIISE podcast, where inclusivity is our priority. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the very first RIISE podcast. My name is Sean English, and I'm going to be your host. And my guest today is Leony Boudreau. Léony, can you say hi?
Yes, Sean. Hi, I'm excited to be with you today.
I'm very excited to have you as well. So I'm going to give everyone a little bit of an introduction about Léony here, and then we're going to get to talking. So Léony is currently a senior here at Purdue University studying biomedical engineering. She has applied for her master's, so she'll be pursuing that after here. She's the current student coach for the women's basketball team, and she's a former player, and we'll talk about that transition a little bit later. She's from Montreal, Canada, and she is the co-founder of RIISE and the founder and the president of RIISE, which is what this podcast is all about. So Léony, if you want to just talk about a little bit about your life, how you ended up here at Purdue, and kind of that intro to basketball and that first love that you really had.
Yeah, sure. So I'm from Montreal, Canada, which is, my first language is French. So I didn't know English before coming to Purdue, before coming to the United States. I have a little brother who also plays basketball, and I was raised by two amazing parents. I love them. They're my role model. And so my dad wanted me to play like all of the sports, from like karate to swimming to like soccer when I was young. I was really bad at soccer, by the way. He took me out of there at like 5 years old. But about 10, I kind of fell in love with basketball. And at 12, I was playing against like university players, training with university players during the summer. And so I was never really the fastest, nor was I the tallest. I'm 5'9". So I was just, out there being that annoying kid that after every practice, I'm like, hey, excuse me, can we do like a one-on-one, trying to challenge the best player out there? And so I worked really, really hard. And I would say around 14, I kind of started to have dreams of going to play NCAA, play at the highest level. And so I worked really hard, and I had two dreams, I would say: play for my national team, so play for Canada, and then play at the highest level for NCAA. And so those two were kind of going together. And so I would say about the age of 16, I made a list of about 10 schools that I wanted to go to, that I knew were gonna challenge me both, athletically, but also academically. Basketball was such a huge part of my life, but I think with my parents and the people surrounding me, I knew that was also the avenue towards like higher education. And I knew I was building skills for life also. So I always had that back in mind. And so in my list of 10 schools, I had Purdue University, which I didn't know much about. I just knew that, it was a great engineering school. We were using the citation site from Purdue University back in Canada. Yeah. Exactly. And so I put that on my list. And then 2 years later, Coach Versip called me from Purdue University. Our head coach called me, and I had the chance to kind of create a relationship with her and meet the other coaches. And I went on a visit not too long after that. And so when I came here on my visit, I just fell in love with the people. I mean, I knew I was going to not be challenged just as a player, but also kind of go out of Purdue with like just such a better woman as a whole. And so after every meeting I had on my visit, I was like meeting with my mom in the bathroom and was like, oh my gosh, this school is amazing. I need to come here. And so I committed on my visit. And now I am here, studying biomedical engineering, loving it. I really think that coming here was one of the best decisions I ever took in my life yet. So really grateful for the opportunity, and just for the mentor and the people, the friends, teammates that I met here. Such an amazing experience. So I'm here now.
Yeah, and we're very happy to have you here. And playing at a D1 school at a high level, especially with basketball here at Purdue, we're a good school, and doing engineering as well. That's double team right there. That's some for real stuff. So talk to me a little bit about your experience here at Purdue. You can throw in kind of how we met, and maybe that transition with sports that we touched on a little bit earlier. But talk to me about like the whole Purdue experience in a whole. So
yes. So academically, it went really fast, really, at first I found my kind of my purpose here at Purdue. Freshman year, I had discussion with my mom. Actually, shout out to Simon Sinek, who kind of taught me through TED Talks and podcasts how to find my why. So my why was really just to empower people to achieve their full potential. And so I'm really lucky that I kind of found that really early in my freshman year at Purdue. And academically, I was doing research in biomechanics. I kind of found my way into like my avenue towards my career aspirations. So that was really doing really good. Athletically, I struggled a lot with like injuries. I was not playing very much basketball. And I mean, I was playing 40 minutes a game before coming here, and I was the mom of the team all the time. And so that was really a transition for me to kind of figure out other ways to contribute to the success of the team. And so I went from like that shy little kid that didn't know how to speak English a freshman year to like the energy bunny of the team, and me trying to kind of motivate my teammates to perform when they were on the court and just challenge them during practice and do my best. Like I was, every second I had during a game, I was taking it to its fullest because I knew I wasn't going to have much. And so then 2 years, my December 31st, 2019, that's how my 2020 year started. The doctors told me that I couldn't play basketball anymore. So I had a few concussions before coming here, and I had few coming to Purdue. And from my last one, the doctors told me that I was really lucky to kind of recover fully and have no symptoms. And so that was a really tough news to hear. I was shocked, to be honest. I was in rehab at that point. I was thinking I was going to play the next game, and I was like excited to come back on the court. And so that kind of took me by surprise, that meeting with the doctors. And so a lot of crying right away. I can tell you right now, the first week, I was really lucky to be surrounded by my parents for the holidays. And so that was like very good for me because I don't think I would have made it. But yeah, so I'm the kind of person that at first I felt really, really empty, if you know what I mean. I felt like a huge gap. I mean, being a student athlete was part of my identity for so long. Like I was a student athlete, you know? And so I'm the kind of person that like when there was a huge gap, yeah, I was like, okay, so my post-career plans were to play triathlon. And so I'm going to go on that Training Peaks app, you know, buy a bike, buy some running shoes, go out every day, train, twice a day. And so that was my first reflex, which was not that good. I realized that I went kind of like the extreme at that point after a couple months. And so I was like, okay, Leo, you need to breathe, you know, slow down, reconnect to your purpose. And I think the people surrounding me really helped me. I mean, the love of like my friends that were around, my teammates. I had the chance to have such amazing relationship with my teammates that kind of became sisters along the way. And my parents really, really helped me through that. It was kind of like a grief process. It's a whole healing process that I had to kind of slow down myself. And now recently I could say that I'm really thankful for all the process. I have learned so much about myself. Like I had to re-explore who I was and, learn how to be more vulnerable, to be like a more courageous leader at some point. And shout out to Brene Brown, another podcaster that I love, one of my favorite authors. And so I had to go through all of that transition. And I can say now that I'm thankful. I think from this summer where I had the chance to spend time with my family, that's the moment where I was like, okay, I went through the whole transition phase, and now I start training for triathlon back, but just I reconnected with the love of like exercising, and I go out when I want to go running and things like that. So yeah, I feel good. I feel really good now.
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but everything happens for a reason. And you're still a huge part of the team and just the university in whole. And I know after you hear that bad news from the doctors that you think that it's going to be over, but there's always that chance and that redemption. And sometimes it takes being at the bottom to realize how nice it was at the top, and how that process of going back up is that much more fun. So, and it seems like you thrive under pressure. And when someone tells you can't do something, you respectfully listen, but you do your best to prove them wrong in a comfortable and controlled setting. So you picking up other hobbies that weren't sports were incredible. And just sticking to school, because I know a lot of people go through that big grieving process, and it's hard to focus back on school. So what filled the place of basketball? I mean, basketball is a full-time job, so is being a student. So you had two full-time jobs, and now it was down to one. So what'd you do with your time? What'd you fill? Did you pick up any hobbies or any groups or anything like that? So
I actually, the projects that I had kind of initiated while I was at Purdue, I mentioned kind of stay connected to my purpose. I realized that the best way to empower people to achieve their full potential was to pursue my own potential first, and so that I can empower others to do the same. And so I kind of stay connected with the things that I love. So doing research in biomechanics, I kind of found my career aspirations at that point. I wanted to, build a network of professionals to provide Paralympic athletes with all the services they need for performance. I realized that was a need. And so I kind of started getting that into my mind. And then that led me to starting RIISE and RIISE now, which is so exciting. And so it kind of helped me focus my energy at different places and kind of diversify where I can put my energy in. And also being a student coach for the team was really helpful, just because I also had that role where when the girls go back on the bench, I can say a little something in their ear. And then when I see them go back on the court and actually doing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like one of the best, like, happy moments for mama right here on the sideline, So I think that really helped, and just hanging out with friends like you, Sean, and people who I can connect with, and surround myself with people that are better than me in some kind of way. So anybody who's related to me knows that they're better than me in one way, because I love to be surrounded by people like that kind of help me kind of pursue my own potential. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I fill the gap that I mentioned. But
well, you say you like to be surrounded by people that are better than you at things, and I am definitely better than you at wheelchair basketball. And I'd love to hear that story from your perspective, because I mean, you had all this new free time and you decided it was time to be vulnerable and try things that you've never tried.
Yeah.
And seeing you in a wheelchair basketball chair for the first time, for the viewers that don't know, I used to play wheelchair basketball, so I can crack jokes about that. And I'm not very good, but it was funny seeing her trying to figure out, like, closing her eyes and trying to see like which hand she had to use to turn. And yeah, it was pretty funny. So if you want to tell me a little bit about that experience, I think everyone would love to hear that.
Oh my gosh, Sean, this is so difficult. I have so much respect for the people that play wheelchair basketball, just because I never had that much difficulty just doing a layup in my entire life. Like just going around the basketball court, like just turning, or like going around cones. We did that exercise where we had to like zigzag with cones. Oh my goodness, that was
I thought the exercise was running over the cones, because if that was the case, you're doing a very good job at that. But we had to buy new cones, I think, because you're so small.
No, yeah, that was so difficult. Like even just shooting a free throw or just shooting a shot. I mean, it's so much core strength, and I mean, the athletes are so strong, and I'm so glad that I had the experience to just try it and be challenged by you guys and just try my best, because I was definitely not the best one there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And for those of the people that don't know, Shelby, which we're going to have on the next episode of the podcast, Shelby is a former captain of the U.S. women's basketball team in 2018 Rio, or in 2018 Germany Worlds, I think it was. So we had Shelby there too, and Shelby was making fun of me for not being too good, and then I was making fun of Leo for not being too good at it.
Everybody was making fun of me, obviously.
No one was making fun of Shelby though, because she was. I'm pretty sure she like knocked me over one time. I mean, wheelchair basketball is a very physical sport, and that was
very physical. Yep.
A very eye-opening experience for both of us to get the opportunity to play with her and just see how poetry in motion in that way. Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about like us, and then we can transition to what we're doing here with RIISE. So for the viewers that don't know, Leo and I are very good friends outside of this podcast, and she started this group and called me up in June/July over the previous summer and said, like, let's make something happen. So let's talk about like how we got accustomed. It's not as good as the Shelby story, which we'll explain in the next episode of her getting chased down in a wheelchair on campus. But we kind of were just mutuals in multiple different areas, and then we kind of just became friends after that. So
Yeah.
if you want to talk
Well,
a little bit about that.
let's start maybe, Sean, by I would love our audience to kind of hear more about your story, because that's also how we got connected. I kind of heard about your story, and then I don't know if you remember, but I definitely did reach out to you. So I kind of chased you down kind of in the same way. But
Yeah.
yeah, just talk to us a little bit more about your story, where you grow up also, and kind of like give us more so that people know a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's fair because I did say I did wheelchair basketball, so I might as well
Yeah,
explain that
there
a
we
little
go.
bit. My name is Sean English. I am a junior here at Purdue studying communications and management, a double major. I am from outside of Detroit, Michigan, specifically a town called Livonia. It's about 30 minutes west. And I was a runner in high school, and I was being recruited to run here at Purdue, track and cross country like my dad. And 2017 April, I witnessed a car flip over. I got out to help that car, and then I was crushed in between the two cars. I lost my leg below the knee. Could actually, yeah, that's
Yeah, the Purdue, yeah.
lost my leg below the knee. I tore my ACL, MCL, broken femur, 13 surgeries, 2 weeks in the ICU, 2 months in the hospital, and then I went home. But I was in a wheelchair for about 6 months, and then I started walking, and then I started running again. So I got back into running, not at the competitive level that I once was, but it was a return that I greatly appreciated. But during my time when I couldn't run, I was picking up other sports like wheelchair basketball, and I was trying my best to fill that gap. Like Leo and I are very similar in our stories here, where we just had a gap that needed to be filled and we didn't know what to do. So we tried everything and we eventually found it. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Talk to us kind of how that process from the accident to kind of coming back and starting to play wheelchair basketball. How did you feel? How did you make that happen? There was a lot of rehab in there, so yeah, give
Yeah,
us more for that.
it was
Yeah.
even when I went back to school my senior year. So early April is when this happened. So around mid-August is when I went back to school. I was still doing 8 hours of therapy a week, and it would be after school, and I'd be exhausted. It felt like I was going, and then I'd have to go to practice because I was the captain of the cross country team, and then I'd have to go home and do all my schoolwork. So fitting in a regular student or a regular high schooler's life with a life-changing accident and disability and rehab was definitely difficult, and that's something that I had to balance on my own. But I eventually found it as a personal battle where I just wanted to be stronger than I was the previous day. And I wanted to get back and prove other people wrong. Like I currently work as a bouncer at a bar here on campus, and that's just because I thought of jobs in my head that disabled students don't really get into, and I figured a bouncer was one of those that don't have a lot of disabled people. So I just wanted to get that job to kind of attack that stigma that disabled people can't really do things that able-bodied people can do. And sometimes when I wear sweats or jeans or long pants, people don't even realize that. And that's my ultimate goal is to kind of just get rid of that negative stigma and be that strong anchor, or play basketball against people and still kick their butt on the court, which I like.
Yeah.
To.
Just for people to know, Sean is an incredible shooter. So if he is open, y'all better give him the ball because he's going to shoot it.
I used to be able to run and jump high, and now I can't really do that. So I kind of rely on my shot, which is okay. It's more fun that way for me. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself and just kind of like dealing with adversity. Everyone will go through some struggles and some challenges. It's all about the light at the end of the tunnel, and pressure makes diamonds and all that stuff for me. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself. And I think we're very similar in that scenario.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious to know a little bit. So you said you were still the captain of your team, right? You had probably like freshmen that were looking up to you. How did you kind of stay with the team and kind of keep them motivated to keep running?
It was tough because there were a lot of times there was a court case that we went through. So there were some times I missed practice. There's sometimes that I wasn't just the happy-go-lucky person that I normally am. There were some days I was in pain. So there was a lot of, you never really knew what Sean you were going to get. but I tried to show up as much as I could and be there for the team, because I was the number one runner on the team the year prior, but I realized that I didn't have much impact as the best player on the team. I had more impact as the captain, giving advice to the people that I wouldn't normally see run if I was running practices with the varsity group or something like that. So I had a really fun experience mentoring people, and I still have those freshmen that are looking to pursue colleges. And I had one of them last year just message me and say like, oh, I'm looking to go to Purdue. Can I get a tour? And I remember his name, I remember his times, like I remember all those things because I had that unique opportunity to be strictly a captain and not a member on varsity and a captain. So it's all about adapting and just moving around with your surroundings, kind of like you wanted to be a part of that team and you couldn't be a part of that player and the mentor on the team, like the senior member of the team. You drop the player title and you're still just as important to the team. And I think a lot of us have a similar situation in our own lives where we have a battle we can overcome, and we can make a decision to sit down in the shadows and cry, or we can do something about it and take control of our own destiny. And I think we've both done a very good job of adapting and being stronger than we once was. So
yeah. Thanks for the wise words, Sean.
Thank you. I wasn't prepared to talk about that a little. It was supposed to be you. Let's get back to you. Let's talk about RIISE. We talked a little bit about it before, but let's hear a little bit about Wheel RIISE and Carson Edwards hopping in the chair and just the transition to why we're here talking on the phone right now.
Yes. So you mentioned a little bit, but RIISE started from Wheel RIISE, and Wheel RIISE started from me chasing down Shelby on Purdue's campus. That's a funny story because I had known of her, like somebody told me that Shelby was on campus the day before I saw her on campus. And so when I saw Shelby on campus, I was on my bike and I saw her USA backpack, and I'm like, I need to go talk with this girl. And so I literally turned my bike, chased her down, and was like, excuse me. She had no idea who I was. I was just like, hi, I'm Léony. I'm on the women's basketball team. And at that time, I had those career aspirations of kind of creating that network, and I was doing research in biomechanics. And so at first, I told her, I just want to have your suggestions on what I'm been thinking about, see if I'm completely off track, or kind of just have more of her advice. And then when we went on our first lunch, it became so much more than that. I mean, it went so much beyond my career aspirations. We talked about ways to raise awareness for Paralympic sports. And at that time, we had no idea what was going to be possible, but I had already kind of good relationship with Purdue Athletics and the College of Engineering. So I just went out and I went to see Nancy Cross from athletics, and I told her that it would be such a great collaboration between the College of Engineering and Athletics on campus. They're already collaborating on great projects here. And so Mike Babinski and Dean Chang from the College of Engineering kind of collaborate super well to host. I mean, it went beyond what we thought. Like, it was not just raising awareness of Paralympic sport, but we also wanted to empower people through sports and inclusivity. And so we hosted a wheelchair basketball game on campus. People from Illinois came on campus, and we had, Paralympians from Canada and the US were here during the halftime. Like you said, I mean, Carson Edwards were there, obviously, but the men's basketball team was there, the women's basketball team, student athletes jumped in the chair during halftime, and they showed how difficult it is to manipulate a wheelchair. We were trying to make them do layups and stuff. And so I think that was really kind of an empowering moment for the audience that was there, because I mean, the student athletes kind of gained that credibility from the audience that was there. And then they saw that they were struggling in the chairs. And so that was a beautiful moment. And then at the end, we had a dinner with the athletes, our guest athletes, and we asked them questions. There was a whiteboard around the room. And so I just put down questions to see if I can get direct feedback from the athletes. And we had, now I have 5 pages of projects that we can do in biomechanics. So I got their feedback right away. They were super generous in their advice. And from that point, I kind of realized the impact that we had in our local community, and I wanted it to, keep growing. After I graduated, I was like, this needs to go every single year. We need to keep doing more events, not just wheelchair basketball, but other sports, and keep reaching out to more people. And so that's what led to RIISE. in summer 2020, during COVID, I was thinking about what would be the best way to kind of keep growing our mission. And starting a student organization kind of seemed the best way to do that. And so I connected like some of the best leaders that I know on campus and that I knew were already passionate about the project. And obviously, Sean, you're part of these leaders. So shout out to our exec board, by the way, Ryan, Kelsey, Noah, and Sean that is here right now. And I also talk with our creative team that are one of the best creative minds on campus, honestly, if not the best. I'm a little biased, but I think they're the best. So Will Kaufman, Adam Kaufman, best twins ever, and then Jordan, that are like close friends to me, but also great people to work with. And so we worked on the structure and the culture of the event during the organization during the summer. And then now it's crazy to see, right, Sean, that we have like 35 new members that are thriving, so much energy, and we're really focused on showcasing Paralympic excellence around the world now, but also, pursuing projects at the interface of sports, inclusivity, and engineering. And so it's not just about showcasing the stories of Paralympians around the world, and using the momentum for Tokyo coming up this summer, but also, impacting our community where, Purdue is one of the best engineering hub on campus in the US, right? So I think what differentiates ourselves from other organizations similar to us is that we can actually take on engineering projects and, make things happen based on what we hear from athletes. So anyways, you can probably feel the excitement that I have from just inviting new members and kind of working on those projects. It's been such a blessing, and I'm so glad that you're part of it too, as our host of the podcast and our communications experts, obviously. So yeah, I think we're here now and really thriving for more. So
yeah, it's I've seen this develop into a great group firsthand, and I've been very happy to be a part of it. And we're going to do some great things. And the whole point of this podcast is this first episode is kind of an introduction to myself and to what we're going to be talking about later, and to RIISE and what our group's about. But the whole direction of this podcast is to give Paralympians just an outlet to talk, just a reason to get their story out, and not like the cliche, like, yeah, we're going to talk about what happened to them or why they're in the Paralympic movement. But we're going to talk about like what drives them as a person and what inspires them and what helps them get out of bed every day. It's going to be more of just these people telling a story that they might not have had the opportunity to tell before. So I'm very excited to see this momentum, hopefully, and I'm very excited to get some Paralympians here on the podcast just to talk about them and what changes they would love to see in the future. So if anyone out there listening would like to be or know someone that should be on the podcast, feel free to reach out to us at RIISE Purdue. That is with 2 I's, RIISE. And you can reach us on Twitter or Instagram. And Leo and I both have the account password, so we'll get the notifications. This podcast will also be up on Spotify and YouTube. So you can comment on the YouTube link. You can share it on Instagram stories. And we'll post some stuff on Instagram for like a little highlight and all that stuff too. So we're really excited for this direction, and I'm very excited with the direction that this first episode went. I think we both did an incredible job explaining exactly what we needed to talk about today, and I'm really excited for the viewers to hear and hopefully get as excited as we are.
Oh yes, I'm super excited, and I hope people are just excited to go to the next podcast and hear more stories. But before we leave, Sean, I know you don't know that yet, but I want also people to kind of get to know you more and kind of follow you through all of these podcasts.
Always got surprises.
So, yes, can I ask you a few quick fire, rapid fire questions, and then we'll finish on that.
Okay, yeah. I don't know these questions, by the way, so
it's super easy. You'll love it. Just give me, one word, one sentence per question. You ready?
Okay.
Ready? Okay. What kind of music do you listen to?
I listen to country, rap, and everything in between.
Okay. That's very varied. What's one of your favorite movie? I know you probably have many, but just give me one right here on the spot.
Favorite movie? Ooh, I did choir in high school, so I really like Pitch Perfect.
Oh.
But that's I don't exactly admit that. You really caught me on the spot there. Any sports movie too, like Coach Carter and
Mm-hmm.
Remember the Titans and the classics.
I probably watched Coast Guard like 50 times. I'm not kidding.
I have a Coach
Okay.
Carter jersey, actually. I have Cruz's jersey. Rich
For
what?
real? Wow.
Richmond.
Rich
Uh,
what? Rich. Okay, go.
yeah.
Okay, what's your most used emoji when you text?
Most used emoji. I like probably I don't know what the most used is, but probably my top five is the laughing one, of course. The
Mm-hmm.
two eyes, like
Yeah.
and then I use it's like a smile one with like a crying face going down.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
use it ironically a lot.
Yeah.
Then I use the winking emoji a lot too, like let's go hang out, like
Yeah.
to all my buddies, like I'm like let's go hang out, winky emoji.
Okay.
And then I use the goat emoji a lot too. Um,
Oh, never
yeah.
heard about that one, but
It's
the
just
other
like
ones
a goat, and I'm like, oh, you the goat type thing. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm bad at
okay.
social media and emojis and all that stuff too.
And I know you don't use that much emojis
No,
when
I
you
use
text, but
exclamation points a lot, but I don't really
yeah.
use emojis.
All right, next. What's your hidden talent?
Hidden talents.
Yeah.
I can use my prosthetic in multiple different ways
There you
as like
go.
a tool. So those old Coke bottles that need a bottle opener, I figured out that I can actually pop it open with my
That is
prosthetic.
that's funny. Thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
Okay, in one or two sentences, give me one of your best childhood memories.
Childhood memories. I actually don't remember much of my childhood. I think I had some sort of brain problem in my accident, but I remember in uh, childhood memory. So my dad was my coach all my life, and I would sit at the free throw line, and he would like make noises like to try and scare me. And I would like sit there. He would say like, "Oh, your shoe's untied," like just trying to distract me when I'm shooting a free throw.
That's
And he
funny.
would always say like, if you can hit a free throw when I'm messing around, like screaming, like yelling, being crazy in your ear, then you will always be able to make a free throw in any situation. And then like a few weeks later, I had a basketball game and I made like a game-winning free throw, and I had so much pressure, and I was in like fifth or sixth grade. Like I had so
Wow.
much pressure, but I was just prepared to do that. And I just love sports growing up. So most
Love
of my
that.
memories are about sports.
That's awesome. Okay, last one. One thing you're the most excited about for 2021.
Most excited about for 2021? That's a very good question. I would say getting back out on the court.
Mhm.
I love playing ball, and I had my ACL surgery start of 2020, so about a year ago. And with COVID and stuff, I haven't really had the chance to get out to the co-rec courts, or and it's cold right now, so I can't play it on the outdoor courts.
Yeah.
But I think I'm physically at the point where I can play ball again, and I've gotten a lot stronger and a lot quicker since my surgery, even. So I'm
Mhm.
excited to turn some heads and surprise some people.
Love that. Well, okay, we'll transfer one on one then.
Okay, I would love to do that. Maybe we can film it and put it on our Instagram. That'd be fun. You would
All
you
right.
would definitely beat me though. You
Look,
don't
I
give
don't.
yourself enough credit. You're retired, but you're not really retired. Come on, Leo. Maybe a free throw shooting contest or something like that would be a little bit more fun. But
Okay, we'll keep people updated on that.
yeah, we'll keep people updated. That would actually be fun. I'd be so down to do that.
I know, me too.
Well, thanks for hitting me with those questions. I didn't even plan to see that. I might have to do some editing for saying Pitch Perfect. I watched that like the other day, and it's pretty good. It's a good movie. So
I love that. Spontaneous. That was great.
thank you. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Leo, for being my first guest and talking about everything that we talked about. I'm very happy with the direction this is going to go, and I'm very happy with how we did today. We did very well. So
Yes.
I hope everyone's as excited as we are. And I just want to say thank you to a few people first. Thank you to the twins, the Kaufmans, for helping up with this picture and the intro that you see, the visual that you see, and just helping me with editing and YouTube links, because I'm really bad at that stuff. And thank you to Jordan for the audio that you hear in the beginning. And they've just been on call for me recently, and everyone else in the RIISE exec and directors and and members, all of them have helped me out tremendously. So this is a whole group effort, including Leo here. Leo does a lot of the behind the scenes work, and she's very humble, so she won't tell you, but she's a great person. And I'm happy that I had the pleasure of having a great person as my first guest here on the podcast. So Leo, if you want to say any final words before we close out, I think that would be appropriate.
Yes, thank you for everybody that listened and made the podcast work and make every project that we have with RIISE work. I love you guys. Thank you, Sean, for hosting me today and for starting this podcast. I'm excited to see what we have next. Really grateful for you. So keep doing great work, and very proud of you and everybody's working with us. So hope you guys tune in to the next podcast.
Yes, thank you. The next podcast will be with Shelby, and I'm very excited, and you guys should be excited as well. She'll be an awesome guest. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow our socials. Remember, it's RIISE Purdue, II. And this has been the very first RIISE podcast, where inclusivity is our priority. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.